Hey, friend fam, welcome to the Francyne Walker Show. Thanks for joining me. Happy Thursday. I'm excited about my guest today, all the way from Toronto. We were just having a great conversation. I have great memories of Toronto, and I'm excited to have Ryan Singh, a filmmaker. He has a long list, too long that Instagram said, girl, you can't put all that in there. However, that just speaks to his accomplishments. One of the things we're going to talk about are two of his films that are they have been featured, but they're also currently being featured on during the New York Film Festival. We'll get more into that, but please join me in welcoming Ryan Singh to the show. Hello, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Francyne, for having me. Really appreciate it. Detroit is my old stomping ground when I was in university. And I have very fond memories of being there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that, first of all, thank you for taking the time to be here today. Like I said, when we were going through just prepping everything, you're a filmmaker. However, actor, producer, director, filmmaker. That's, you could say, well, that makes sense because it's all in the same industry. But everyone doesn't. Where did you start in your career?
Well, I started on stage in my career when I was in the old country, Guyana, where I come from. As a young child, my father brought me on stage when I was 6, and I got an acting bug. When he came to Canada, he sent me back a videotape of a stage play, and I felt like I had received an Academy Award motion picture. And I would play that tape. We didn't even have a TV, much less a VCR, but I would go over to the neighbor's house and play that tape over and over again. And when I finally got a chance to come to Canada, the first thing I wanted to do was to get on TV. And I had my mom search the newspaper in the classified and found an agency and signed me up and paid that extra money that they would ask. We didn't know it was like an illegitimate agency. And so we signed up, and I waited for 2 years, got one audition in that 2 years, and realized that perhaps if I'm going to find my way into film and television, I have to make my way into there. And for the next 20 years, I spent just working, finding every opportunity I can, never saying no. And even now, I am still training for different things, different arenas. And it's so much fun because in every role, every aspect of the business is more learning. It's more technical. It's a very technical field. The Academy of Arts and Sciences, it really is arts and sciences because there's so much learning, so much understanding just to make a simple film. Hello? Yes. Did I lose you? I think we got cut off. Ava, no. Ava, Ava. Are you serious? I'm in an interview and you're printing stuff? No more printing.
What do you want, apply?
Ava.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. So I had to do a quick intervention here. I lost connection. So the show must go on.
That's why I was continuing to speak until you came in.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm glad because I didn't want the our story to the show to end when we were talking about how you started with you were talking about your parents and
I was still being recorded throughout all of this?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's fine. That's okay because listen, you're the filmmaker. we gonna roll with it.
No, I was calling my daughter. She started printing something. So you got a bit of reality TV here behind the scenes.
Well, you know what? Guess what? They know it's reality TV. I was in my studio and the connection went haywire, and now here we are, different set.
Welcome to live TV.
And you know what? I can always edit this out one side, but it's like it is what it is. This has happened before where I was somewhere. It was one day I was interviewing my son, who is an amazing artist, and someone ended up cutting something and it caused a short.
Yeah.
And it just shut down, and it kept rolling. Thank God. I was like, because it's like I'm so glad you're still here.
I wasn't sure what was going on, so I was like, "You'll see when you're looking back at it."
It's okay. It's fine.
But I did a Jim Carrey.
Huh?
I did a Jim Carrey.
Oh my God. And I am burning up because I had to pull my light in, pull my ring light in, bring my table in. It was like, oh my God. I had to tell my dog, go.
This is show business.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And if you can't laugh at little things like this, you know what? It is what it is.
Hi.
So
if you're looking at the Francyne Walker reality show.
Yeah, I see people. It's like, but you know what? Somebody showed us love, so I can tell that. And then I'm looking. Also, it is what it is. My shirt. You know how the screen it's given that thing. It is what it is. It's just like that's why I don't wear this one because it does the thing with the camera. Anyway,
it looks fine. I wasn't complaining.
Thank you. So, so it sounds like you had the support of your family very early on to go into show business.
Well, yeah. My father is in the business, like I said, and my mom, she's very much supportive to whatever I want to do. I'm even a licensed insurance agent, and when I said, "Mom, I need some people to speak with," and she gathered all her friends and said, "Hey, my son is a licensed insurance agent, so let's go over and get their insurances." So she really supports everything I do, and my wife, she's just gotten into the business as well, but outside of the business, she certainly helps with our kids who are also in the business. So it's a real family business, and it takes the team, the entire team, whether agents or whomever, and to make all of this machine happen. So,
Speaking of your children, perfect segue into H.E.N.R.I.
Yes.
See how we did that? That was perfect, Ryan. So talk a little bit about Henry. I actually have should we do the teaser first? Should we run the trailer?
We can do the teaser and then we can talk about it. Yeah,
Okay.
sure. If you have it queued up.
Yes, I sure do.
So it's a story of a father who has passed away, and the family is now dealing with the grief, and the son tries, and the son is really trying to cope with it. But instead of asking his mom questions, you know how back in the day children would ask the adults questions about life and death and anything that is different and new for them. But now they turn to the machines. And that's what this story is all about, the relationship between humans and the machines that serve them.
Wow. Okay. Then what we'll do is actually pull up the producer. Oh, that's me. We'll pull.
I can always press play and share the screen.
Here we go. Because I actually have both trailers, the one for Henry as well as a memento. Not a memento, a memento.
Welcome home, Marianne.
Hey Henry, will my daddy ever be alive again?
I don't understand your question. Welcome home.
Is that short? I'm sorry.
I know. I'm just like, oh my God. So how long is the film actually?
The film is 7 minutes long.
Okay.
But in total time, we've probably spent about $150,000 worth of time just developing it. And much of that is the visual effects that we worked with. Both the director and I were just really learning about visual effects, and we didn't know that it took so much time to put all of the little elements in it to make it work. And so, but we're really happy with the final outcome. And, you know, it took quite a bit of a large number of people to bring this project together.
Sure.
80% of them were BIPOC, and half of them were getting their first credits or first credit in a new category.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm really happy that, you know, our film served as a catalyst for bringing some people into the business who are now continuing to book other jobs and really get them their feet wet in the business. And for others, they got to practice something that, you know, they may be working on larger projects, like our artist Colin Walcott, who did the initial concept for the artwork. And he works on like Star Trek and Star Wars and that sort of thing. And he can't really share those things in his portfolio. So a project like this is something that he could say, okay, I'm going to put as much time into it. Sure. And then I'm able to share that content.
You know, you mentioned, I noticed that you were especially devoted to pulling up, because at the end of the day, it is, you know, as I climb, you climb, you know, as I move forward, you bring someone with you, and you're especially devoted to BIPOC community as it relates to giving them those opportunities. Because, you know, I always say you just need one break, and then it's like the portal opens up. Maybe not as fast as we want it to, but it's like you need that one break, and then you have some kind of foothold in the industry because you've worked on something, and then it becomes kind of like part of your calling card. And I have to add, your calling card is extremely long. There's a store, a pharmacy here called CVS, and they give us these coupons, Ryan, that are especially long for specials. And the coupon is usually a lot of stuff we can't use, right? But it's this, oh, here's your coupons, and it's this long receipt. So when I saw your accomplishments, it was as long as a CVS receipt. It was just like, you've done quite a bit, which is a pretty awesome thing to speak to in this business.
Well, a lot of it is self-learning. Earlier on in my career, I got myself a camera and I said, I'm going to go out there and make an opportunity for myself. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew that I wanted to tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to tell stories my way. I was an upstart and obnoxious, and just figured that I will do it my way. And so I didn't get a chance to get into the formal filmmaking field. So a lot of the content I created was about and around BIPOC communities. And it taught me how to tell those stories.
Mm-hmm.
But once I was able to find myself in the traditional fields of film and unions and that sort of thing, all of a sudden I just erased everything that I had learned, known, and all the bad mistakes I've had, to sort of humble myself to really learning the technical aspects of the business. And because I had that groundation, I learned or early on, I was able to now just put my foot in the door and just keep working at it. And, now I've become a member of several of the agencies, organizations that I've always wanted to be a part of. And it really helps because now I can say, okay, I'm in the door. How many people can I call and say, can you come through the door? I'll keep my foot right in there.
Yeah. Which probably speaks to your success because you have, karma finds us all, right? And it's really good when good karma finds us because you have again, pulled people along with you. So that speaks to not only your work, your integrity, your work ethic, but it speaks to your character because we have to give back and we have to pull up, especially as people of color. Sometimes the opportunity is from somebody that looks like us.
Well, I've been really benefiting from the community as well. I can't say that it's just me. While I started and I was doing a lot of things in an upstarted way, part of the process of learning and growing is humbling yourself and say, I need help. And once I say I need help, I had filmmakers like Sutherland, who is very prominent in the work he does. He broke. He did a film called Home Again, and so many other projects. And he's shooting big projects. And he brought me on one of his sets one day just to shadow the director. His wife allowed me to get into the CMPA, the Producers Association.
Sure.
And as I work my way towards getting to the US, there's a number of people that spread their coats on the ground for me to walk on.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
and whether they bring me directly or whether I'm just observing them, because they are creating a pathway, it allows me to walk through the door a little easier. But at the same time, I have to come with quality and be prepared for the rigors that this business asks for. As you know, as simple as the Francyne Walker Show, it takes so much to prepare for a single show. And so you said thank you.
And you put me to work too, even in the green room.
but that's what it takes.
No, but it does.
It takes preparation, and then show time.
Yeah, because it was like, okay, in my mind, when, as I said earlier in the virtual green room, you're my guest. What do we want to emphasize in this 25, 26 minutes? What do we really want to emphasize to the two films? Let me upload my graphics. Let me convert the YouTube video so that I can let me convert it to an MP4 so I can bring it into our conversation. So, because it's important if we're telling the story, to not leave parts of the story out. It's like, well, it's an interview. It's yes, it is an interview, but it's you telling your story and what is happening now. Congratulations. I'm excited. It's like I'm talking to someone that's about to be on ET in just a few. So I feel kind of like, hey, and I'm honored that it's like, yeah, I'm up there. So it's like, I have a guest who's going to, but you're right. There are those things, and you're absolutely correct when you say the rigors. It's like, oh yeah, you've got to do the work. It's not just because it's an honor. This is not a kind business. But it is worthy. It is worth it if that's what you want to do. And I like that you mentioned that you also do insurance. It's like, yeah, you better have those multiple streams. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm preparing myself for success, and
Yeah.
so part of success, especially in our community, the BIPOC community or the Black community, let's call a thing. Especially in the Black community, we often are not educated enough about finance and financial assets, and so we live vicariously thinking that one paycheck is going to carry me through to the next paycheck. And we don't do that generational wealth planning.
Yeah.
Not that we don't want to, is that we oftentimes don't know.
No.
So if I were to insure myself now, in 2 years, that would be matured. And if I were to die in 2 years, my family won't have to beg for money to bury me. But if I don't know that a cup of coffee a day, I'm still buying the cup of coffee, but then my family has to find money to bury me because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
And we got to change our mindset. We got to stop waiting for someone else from a different community to give us opportunities, because and keep blaming the man. We have to become economically empowered.
Absolutely.
And that's part of what I want to teach my children. And that's why in working on H.E.N.R.I, not only did we work on it as filmmakers and actors, but I also brought them in on the writing process at the age of 6. I wanted them to understand and get the opportunity to know what it takes to create the content that they look at. But also I brought them in as producers and told them that you're going to be spending your money in helping to make this happen. How much should I take out of your money to make this happen?
Sure.
So they invested in terms of their money, as well as in terms of their creative insights. So as we edited, they also give feedbacks.
Yeah. It takes me back where when you talk about having to in an untimely death, where people are having to do GoFundMe's and whatnot, and it's like, man, and little factoid, I did insurance for a very brief time, and it was just amazing to see how amazing in a sad way that people just did not want to prioritize that as something in the case. They didn't see that, one, as a priority, and two, as an opportunity to build wealth, in one space or in one category, because it's like, yeah, you definitely need to be able to have multiple streams of income, but also income that you don't even touch.
Well, ignorance is a hell of a thing. If you don't know what you don't know, then you think that you know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And so I lived that ignorance as a young man.
Yeah.
Right? Today I'm looking to buy a house and it's too expensive to get into the market because I didn't plan a succession plan for myself. Right. I worked hard from paycheck to paycheck. I was too stubborn to get into to allow anybody to teach me the way I needed to be taught, and to humble myself to work under people. Now I'm doing all of those things and feel like I have to play catch up to get to the place where I need to be.
Sure.
But that humility is important right now if I want to have a difference for my family, for my children.
Does it, you mentioned that your wife is in the business. Was she, so she's also, what does she do?
My wife is a nurse. She's
Okay.
an RN. But we had an opportunity to do an ad, a PSA for the sick children, hospital for sick children here in Toronto. And because most of the time they're using bubbled families so that they're not intermixing people during this COVID.
Yeah.
And also because the sick kids who normally are featured, they didn't want to compromise their immune system and expose them to COVID-19. They hired
Yeah.
us as a family to share the stories that these parents experience. And so for Mother's Day and for Father's Day, there's a story that they present, and we happen to be the family featured in that.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So what's the status right now as it relates to COVID in Toronto? Are you guys still, they're opening everything up here. It's like, yeah, let's just do this herd immunity thing and get it over with. It's like, but I know, are you guys still locked down? I'm just getting, trying to keep up with the US. It is like, so are you guys still locked down, or
I'm not sure what our status is anymore.
See what I'm saying?
We've been locked down for so long. I think today there was a partial opening up of some of the facilities and places and businesses, but it's still very much it's precarious because the government officials make these choices, make these things. I mean, our premier wanted to take us into martial law about a month and a half ago, where if you are found outside, you get arrested. And and we just got out of a system of carding where you see someone and you ask them for their ID and all that information, invasive policing.
Yeah.
And so they were like, nope, we're not going to go into that. Nope. So the police refused to go into the authoritarian state that the premier wanted, and he really took a licking for that.
Yeah, they tried, huh?
Yeah, and so there's so much precaution now with their approach, and so that's the state of being here in Toronto or here in Ontario.
Oh, I just saw that's pretty cool. Okay, I know. We've had the on camera, the off camera, even had your daughter make a premiere.
Yeah,
but I don't want to. And it's. I'm just.
The last 2 weeks, she's like, "Look, they're 8 now," and she's like, "I want to bake a cake, so I'm just gonna go crack some eggs, put some flour, and bake a cake. I want to make some edible dough." So now I'm going to just do this and make an edible dough. Now they're in the room trying to print things, and it's like, are you serious?
Oh my God.
I admire their ingenuity, but it's like, then they make the mess and I got to go and clean it up.
Exactly. Exactly. My niece is the same way. It's like, what now? What are you doing now? It's like, just be still. But
they're bored.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, I know. Okay. Were you guys doing like Zoom school?
They are doing Zoom school. So they're in school in the morning until the evening and sneaking onto the television. And I'm so busy trying to prepare for market and pitches and so on. And so I have to take the time out to take them out from time to time because they'll kill themselves.
So let's talk about, and forgive me because Memento,
a South African adventure.
Yes.
It's
just sorry.
Go ahead, play it.
Should we play it?
Yeah, play it.
Okay.
Just being able to set foot onto the continent is an emotional experience. Just their bodies wrapped in black skin.
Coming back to South Africa. And little did I know by the time when I was 10 years old, things would change drastically.
Bodies packaged in black skin that nobody seems to want. We are the voiceless. We are the ones.
Wow. Art venture. Very
Art.
interesting. Art venture.
Art and adventure put together.
Yeah.
And gosh, Dwayne is an artist. April Mullins is an artist, and we went to South Africa, which still has its wilds, and we went to an unknown place, and unknown in the sense that we're Africans, but we don't necessarily understand what that Afrocentricity means because we've never gone home. And having that opportunity to go there is like a homecoming. And so all that secondhand knowledge that you have of who you are as an African becomes a firsthand experience because you're there on the motherland, Africa, and you're seeing and feeling people, and you're seeing and feeling people who have a sense of who they are, even though they have been so disenfranchised for so many years. They still have a sense of who they are. And as Black Americans, Afro-Americans, Afro-Canadians, Afro-Caribbeans, we don't have a sense of who we are as Black people. And so people can tell us where to go or how to go there or how to access resources, where to live, and it has been that bad there in Africa, but at least they're still on the ground where they were created.
Yeah.
And going back to the creative land was fantastic. It was a moment of deja vu.
What made you decide to pursue this particular project?
I was invited to go to South Africa some months before, and it was quite expensive, about $6,000. I didn't have that at the time, and so I was like, okay, I'd love to come, but I can't afford it. But I'm just saying that I'd love to come, and I'll bring my camera and capture it if you guys can make me come.
Yeah.
And a week before they took off, they said, oh, someone dropped out and they can't get a refund. So your price would be half price. And I'm like, yeah. Camera in hand. And for 2 weeks, I just went and filmed. And then that stayed for 7 years. It took me 7 years before it was first shown to the public. And but I labored with it because as an independent producer, and now the funding channels are beginning to understand that Black people, they often produce for under $10,000 great projects. But when you have a comparable access to resources where a white person or an established person gets $1 million for doing the same project, you can see how disenfranchised we are as creators.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, sorry about the incident that happened to George Floyd over the last year. They're trying to make amends, but it's not good enough. And there's still excuses about certain things, but they're trying.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop us from creating. Go ahead.
I kind of feel like, and I don't mean this to be offensive, but it almost feels like white guilt money, in a way, but it has to be, the amends have to be more than performative. There has to be some real changes that are deep, that run deeper than just throwing money.
Well, they just discovered the remains of 215 children from the Aboriginal community at one of their residential schools. Back in the day, they would take children from families and put them in Catholic schools and tell the families that they were not good enough to take care of the children. And 215 remains at just one school. And there are conversations that this may have happened to so many other people, right? Mm-hmm. But then when you see an atrocity happening as a child or as a person who is disenfranchised, and you're speaking up, and then they make you feel like you're a problem. Imagine.
Yeah.
That was one of the encounters when we visited the Apartheid Museum in South Africa, right? They would put people and put a rope around their neck and have them stand for hours and hours and hours. And when their legs couldn't keep their body weight up, they will allow it to just give out and die. And they were labeled as suicidal. They died from suicide.
Mm.
But you still had the authorities watching them over. But they didn't care for human life. And that's why it's important for me to tell the stories I tell.
Yeah.
Right? It's, if we don't teach people who we are by telling the stories we need to tell, nobody will give a damn about us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I agree.
Got a
Yeah.
bit emotional here.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'm sorry that I'm swearing. I got a bit emotional here.
Oh, well, you know what? That's worthy. You know, when we're talking about a lack of recognizing or recognition of humanity, you know, we talk about our worth. It's like you are worthy just because you were born. It has nothing to do with any physical attribute, nothing. Your only requirement is you had a birthday. Your only requirement for being worthy and recognized as such is you were born. You know, it's this thing that we're second class based on our race and based on our sex and based on all these physicalities. Some we can help and some we can't. It doesn't negate the fact that I am human. You know, you're human. If we start there and we practice the civility there, a lot of this would eliminate a lot of racism. It would eliminate a lot of isms.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you talk about me mentoring a lot of BIPOC people, but my mentorship doesn't just fall on BIPOC people. My mentorship falls on all people, because
Sure.
if we're not able to integrate ourselves into the larger organisms, then we are creating a segregation just for ourselves that is equally as bad as that of the other side.
Yeah.
It's important for us to create an organism of integration, of mutual learning and respect for each other.
Absolutely.
And that goes into the work we create. That goes into the way we live. That goes into the communities. That goes to the way I outreach to people.
Yeah. I appreciate your time. I know you're going you're going to be going on ET in a minute, ET Canada in a minute.
Or not tonight, tomorrow night.
Oh, it's tomorrow night. Okay.
It's pre-recorded. I recorded it a week ago. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So listen, both films will be featured here in the States.
No, just one, just H.E.N.R.I.
Just H.E.N.R.I. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how does that feel? So it'll be featured in New York City?
The New York City Independent Film Festival.
Okay.
It feels good. I mean, the film is getting around the world. We've just received another award for Best in Editing, a department that I worked in with this film. And we're now headed up to 8 awards for the film globally. So it's really nice to feel that recognition. The community is stepping up and wanting to see how much more can we share these stories, because we need these stories. I had the fortunate opportunity of sharing these stories with one group of kids from one of our neighborhoods, and to see the way they feedback on seeing themselves reflected on screen was amazing and inspiring, because
Sure.
there is the need for this kind of content for these audiences, not just our kids, but all kids, because they know that there's a universal language in our existence and our being, what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Discrimination. But if we can't see the other on the screen, we can't really get to know who they are or how they live. So there is more need for these kind of stories.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and it's so important to definitely see ourselves reflected on screen and see ourselves reflected in complex situations, complex emotions, um, you know, processing grief, processing those things that are not always happy, you know, and not always gleeful, but allowing allowing children overall to see that they're not alone and to see how they can, you know, to see how to relate. And it's so interesting that you would make it, because you would make it about a child interacting with a machine, because here we are. By way of connection, I'm able to have a conversation with you in Toronto. I mean, you're my neighbor, actually. But just the connection, just by way of a quote unquote machine. You asked me, why did I do the show? And it's like, because I am a facilitator, I'm a storyteller, I'm a journalist. But before I knew, this is something I've always wanted to do for the last 15, 20 years. And I used to go directly to interview people with my iPhone, tripod, and light, my ring light. And no, I didn't even have a ring light at that point. But one of the things,
the camera.
just my iPhone. I mean, you know, they make
I know what you're talking about.
iPhone now, right? And so it's like, I think I saw a movie with on Netflix, shot with an iPhone. But one of the things I noticed is that that was what happened. That was my thing. And it's like, then COVID hit, and it's like, well, I'm not, you know, going to anybody and having conversations and interviews. So this was the next best thing. But I digress. Just wanted to make that point where, you know, you've got all the different kids with the TikTok, the Snapchat. It's like that stuff. It's like, I feel so old, you know what I mean? Because it's like, they get it, you know, they just get it. So to have that interaction with the machine, it's, you know, and it just reminded me when you were talking about it, it's like, yeah, we will consult sometimes the internet just to have find some point of understanding if it's something that we're going through, and we just need some kind of relativity and information. So yeah, it's very interesting that you chose to make Henry that way. And, you know, and in 7 minutes, I was just talking to my previous guest, and it's like, you can make such an impact in such a short amount of time, you know, with 7 minutes. Now, of course, it probably takes a lot of precision to decide what you're going to keep.
Well, my director, Katarzyna Kochani, who is an Eastern European immigrant to Canada, she is so precise in the work she does. I have a love-hate relationship with her, because I can cut something real quickly and just like, okay, but that's not what it takes for success. What she does is what it takes for success.
Yeah.
So I have to have a humility to her work and her working style. And more importantly, one of the things in working with a female director, or just a female, you know, oftentimes you hear women talking about when they're creating stuff and the man comes around, the man's trying to mansplain their experience. I wanted to make sure that she had a full engaged experience, and I was supportive to the direction she wanted to take. And so this film is a culmination of that. And so it's made with love, it's made with passion, and it's made with precision.
Yeah, that's why I got all those awards. It was a woman. No, I'm kidding.
Hey,
I mean, you let her have her way. right? I mean, because it is a team effort. And it's like, no person is an island. I was just talking to my girlfriend who interviewed you, Christy. I said, girl, I'm a writer. You can put me on stage and I'll speak to 1 million people. I hope to one day, but I'm not, that's my thing where it's like, I'm great on stage. I can speak, I can write, whatever. But this interior design stuff and decorating my room, it's like, I just want to give somebody, here, I need this space decked out. I said, because I'm running here to this carpet and trying this, getting this paint paint swatch, and it's like, it's a lot, and I don't want to do it because it's not my zhush. My zhush is what I do. Somebody else's zhush is what they do. So you know what I mean? When you recognize what your strength is, then you can flow in your strength, right? And let that other person, whether it's a man or a woman, flow in theirs. Because I don't want to do it all. You know what I mean? Who wants to do it all? We have to sometimes check our ego and allow that creative process to really evolve, erupt, just be, but sometimes, so it took a lot. So I commend you for allowing that creative process and allowing her to do her thing. And look, here you are, several global awards later, celebrating the success, because it's like, yeah, I mean, that's the point. You really kind of want your work to be seen. And if it took just somebody tweaking those elements to make it just right, that's the chef's kiss, so to speak. So, right?
Kiss.
Say what?
I'll take that kiss.
Oh, yeah, right. That's the chef's kiss. It's like, mwah, so yeah. So, anything you want to add before we close?
Well, if you have an opportunity, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how the New York Independent Film Festival is running their program, but certainly, if anyone is looking for any advice or how to get themselves started, check me out, RyanSinghProductions.com. I'm always
great,
to have
Ryan.
a conversation, and who knows if a collaboration comes out of it? Great. If it doesn't, at least someone else is inspired to create something great, and go from there.
How can we see H.E.N.R.I and Memento in their entirety?
It'll come to a festival near you.
Hey!
You just have to bring me back on when it's playing at another festival. And we have several lined up.
Yeah.
I'm not at liberty to speak about them because it has a certain rollout.
Okay.
But it's coming to a festival near you.
Okay. Now, one of the things before we go, and I'm breaking my own rule as far as linear interviewing. Did I see? It's like I'm going to be real pop culture-ish if I just made culture of adjective. Did I see something again? Your body of work is very extensive and commendable. And I would I'm tempted, but I won't read your bio. But it is extensive. And I thought I saw Angelina Jolie.
Yes.
Do you get that question?
Not much.
Not much? Okay. Okay. Did I see Angelina Jolie as part of your, you worked with her or a film or something?
Yeah, we worked on The Breadwinner, which was a 2018 Academy Award nominee in Best Animation. Coco won that year.
Yeah.
Coco won that year. But they brought me on. A friend of mine from my acting union invited me to work with her mom, who works with a number of Paw Patrol. She's one of the producers on Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
And so they were producing the Breadwinner, and I was brought on to do some behind the scenes. I didn't know that the auditions that I was filming was going to be a pitch to Angelina Jolie.
Okay.
But after she watched the auditions and saw the talent and read the story and the passion behind it, she was so inclined to join the team. And so I was brought back to film the production itself. And so that, I don't know how many Hollywood people might have looked at the behind the scenes, but I'm sure that quite a bit of people already know my work without knowing me. So
yeah. That's great.
And I'll tell you this last story there, in that situation. In 2017, at the Toronto International Film Festival, the third largest film festival in the world, the film made its showcase, and I was like, let me see if I can capture Angelina Jolie. And then I'm like, no, I think I want to meet Angelina Jolie. And so I was like stretching in the crowd and was like, well, I'm not going to get to meet her because the crowd is too thick. And she's such a generous person. So she was shaking everyone's hand. I'm like, let me find a way of getting into this theater so I can get to be closer to this action. And lo and behold, I saw the girl who introduced me in the first place. And I walked in with her and we sat together and we screened the film. And then there was the after party. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to come to the after party. And she's like, oh, it's only by invite. I'm like, don't worry. I'm going to get in. And she's like, but there's this situation where if you got invited to a red carpet and it's only an invitation for one, you don't show up or else you're going to be embarrassed. And you don't want someone to hang along because, you can't really bring them in. Yeah. So you're being polite. No, you shouldn't show up. I showed up anyway.
I know that's right.
At the door, I'm like, oh, yes, I was one of the people credited. Here's my name on the credit. And they're like, okay, come on in. And she's like, and so the entire day, it was just like mental power that is making the shift. Yeah. And as I walked up, Angelina Jolie was just passing my pathway where I was walking. And I was like, looked at her and said, look, I'm meeting Angelina right now. Because that was my intention the entire day.
Yeah.
And she was so gracious.
Oh, yeah. Man. Absolutely. That's, I used to do that. My girlfriend, it's like, oh, I don't know if you're familiar with Eric Benet. He's okay. So he was doing a show here at the Rinson, which is right on the water. Yeah. And she says, I don't know. I don't have any more tickets or whatever. And I said, don't worry about it. I'm good, and because it was a like a dinner type situation where you do the dinner and then you do a concert. And so she says, I can't, I have no more tickets. I can't get you in. I'm like, girl, that's fine. I walked in with Eric Benet. He walked in and, he had kind of like people. And, I walked right in just like, I tell my girlfriend, Christy, we used to do the backstage stuff years ago. I said, listen, let me tell you something. When we get in here, you look like you belong, okay? And you look like, hi, sweetheart. Oh, she's so pretty. Oh my God. You just, I said, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not looking back. You need to follow. You just need to follow me. Just don't even look around, look scared. Just keep going. So sure enough, I walked in with Eric Benet and she says, unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's like, yeah, I don't think about the obstacle. It's like you just get in, you just do what you got. You show up and it could either happen or it can't. So, well, thank you so much. Congratulations. On the success of both films. Now, were you in the movie too?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love her voice. Oh my God. So what was that like?
Go ahead. What was it like?
What was it like to be a part of H.E.N.R.I? What's your name?
My name is Ava.
Eva?
Yeah, Ava.
Ava, what a beautiful name. What's your brother's name?
Sebastian.
Wow, beautiful names, Ava and Sebastian. So what was it like to be in your first movie?
This is not my first movie.
Oh, well, all right, Ava, you better set me straight. What was it like to be in H.E.N.R.I? So how many movies have you been in, Ava? How many?
I don't know. I've been in a lot of movies.
Oh, well, you definitely have that look. Do you want to be an actress?
I want to be a nurse.
Oh, well, you could do both.
And me and my brother is going to do a cover.
Speak clearly.
Me and my brother.
How was the edible dough?
It was good.
Good. Well, you know what? I see you as whatever you want to be. How about that? If you want to be a nurse, that's awesome. If you want to be an actress, that's awesome. If you want to be both, that's awesome. If you want to be a surgeon as well and a architect or a doctor, whatever it is you want to be, you can do it. I know, because you've got great parents. Great parents. So I know this. So thank you for letting your dad talk to me today.
You're welcome.
Yes. So it has been a pleasure, Ryan. Thank you. I've got all the information
Can I
here.
get another surprise? One moment.
Well, Sebastian! Hi!
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
So have you been in a lot of movies too?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You can catch him in Suits. Yeah, and you can catch her in Tall Boys, a Canadian sketch comedy, which is really, really funny. It's diverse. It's created by 4 diverse young men.
Well, you just have a family of talented folks, man.
And still, they've both been in Handmaid's Tale. You might have heard of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I haven't. I've got to It's wildly popular here.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe I'll start it. Maybe I'll make that part of my cardio where I walk for that time on a treadmill while I'm watching it, because it's probably like 3 or 4 seasons. And I couldn't watch it while we had certain people in office, if you know what I mean. But I plan on it, because it's like, yeah, I think I'll put that on my to-do list as something to watch and just do my cardio. It's like, and then, it's up. The show is off. I'm done. So yeah, definitely. Now, are they twins?
They are.
Oh my God, you guys, what's it like having a twin?
Yeah.
Who's the oldest?
Me.
Is Sebastian or Ava? I didn't see.
Sebastian.
Sebastian's the oldest. By how many minutes?
17.
Whoa, you are twins. Say that again. Like that was just harmony. 17. Wow. Ava, you said I'm making my entrance when I'm ready. 17 minutes later. You made a fashionable grand entrance.
No, she was already cooked when the decision was made to birth them. So we were like, okay, Ava has always been Ava. She, just like how, she was walking around and I'm fighting with her. She breached herself before she was born. And we had to play music to get her unbreached.
Ah, wow.
And she has maintained that personality. I'll do what I want when I want it.
And I love it. I love to see that, in children, where we cater to their bend, their natural bend, their natural personality, their talents. That is probably one of the best things we can do. That was probably one of the best ways we can parent our children, because they're not extensions of us. They are who they are, and we're just the portal that they came through. Well, we're the portal. The woman is the portal. But with
if you're gonna go that specific,
well, yeah.
without us fighting there to germinate, you won't get no portal.
Exactly. Yes.
You know how many of us just to get in there?
I know, right? I know. It's like, okay, come on.
What's changed? Catch us next time on the Francyne Walker Show for birthing stories.
Well, this has truly been a very, very unique situation. I'm so glad you decided to just keep talking and stay on, because it's like, I don't want to try and reconnect. I don't want to reschedule. And it's just like, it is what it is. And
the show goes on, right?
The show went on. Yeah, because you should have seen me. I had my table because I have my laptop, and I'm carrying my table. I shooed my dog out of the chair, and it's like, okay, I gotta set up. And it's like brought in my ring light, which is huge, and it's like, okay, move. And it's like, huh. And I'm
just like, well, it's show business, so I guess if I'm still on, I'm still on. But
yeah,
whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, what was happening, it was spooling, and I'm thinking, okay, just keep, and then after a while, it wasn't coming. I said, okay, so I've got to make it. I've got to do what I got to do, and so that's what happened. So it's like, really, I'm renovating a space to shoot my show for the time being, because I want to take this further, of course, but the space, that sometimes the Wi-Fi is wonky, and it's like the router and the this, and it's like, so it's like, come in here, because you don't have time to
buy yourself one of them boosters,
yes.
Wi-Fi boosters.
Yeah,
that way it's a little closer. You just connect to the booster, and
and that's exactly what it is, because I'm using my I'm converting my 3-season room, and I think because it's separate, but this, connected, my Wi-Fi is not extending out there. I did a show the other day, no problem, but I don't want that to happen. Thankfully, you were, understanding enough to stay on, but, guess, go figure. Artist, producer, director, filmmaker, you knew, like, just keep talking. Just keep talking, so that's what it's a booster. That is exactly what it's called. And where I have to have it out there, because I do want to continue to use that space.
Booster or repeater.
Okay.
So you go to any computer store or even online, you want something that has the highest bandwidth so that it's able to pull and push.
Yeah.
And so
booster I'm going to have to go to Best Buy today. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ryan. It has been the utmost pleasure to talk to you. I wish you so well. And I know it's coming to a film festival near me.
Send me your information.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you a private screener.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right.
Bye, Ava.
Bye.
Talk to you guys soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.